Hey, welcome in, guys. This is something I was working on last night. It's a Mega Drive 2 clean RGB that I made for giving good output to the Mega Drive 2. And I thought it should work in the Mega Drive 1, and it does kind of, but it's going to need its own revision of board, basically, because it doesn't quite work. But I was more curious this morning as to why, so I'm going to try and figure out why, because I'm sure it should work and should output the same RGB voltages as the Mega Drive 2, I'm sure of it. So more of a curiosity thing. I want to figure out why this is outputting slightly dark colours, basically. So if I pull the console up on the screen, and then let's see what shows up here. So you can see how it comes up, but it's a little bit dark, basically. So that's how it is. It basically works, but it's too dark. And it shouldn't really be. It's like, I'm sure it should be correct. Morning, welcome in. And if we take a look on the scope, do I have a scope open? Oh, let me just open the scope up. And then if we probe the inputs, because if I remember rightly, the Mega Drive 2 had an input of about 0.9 something volts. Nice probes, whether I get them from which probes. As in this is a picoscope probe. This comes with the picoscope, as this is for an oscilloscope, which obviously you'd have to get with the oscilloscope or buy separate. These leads are about £300 each, I think. So if we just probe the inputs when we turn the console on. So if I turn the console on and I probe, say, one of the red, green and blues, we should see the white screen. There we go, so that'll be the white Sega screen. So if I capture that, oh, press the wrong button, thought it was captured. Let's try that again. Turn off and turn on. I should really just put there we go. Right, so that's the capture, and we can see, I think I can already spot the problem. The voltage looks about right. If we put a measurement on for amplitude, 827, that's a bit low. Is it measuring inaccurate? Yeah, 900-ish, 9. So I think the voltage, I'm sure, is pretty much exactly the same. But the key thing here is notice where the offset is. 0.194 volts, so effectively 2 volts. Now the Mega Drive 2 has an offset of 2.5 volts. So what's going to happen is we're going to offset by this much there and chop all of that off. So we're going to lose almost half of the video signal. So maybe like about there, literally half of the video signal. Because the offset's set, obviously different. So if we put the Sega on, I'm guessing that's about 50% brightness, basically, as if 50% is cut off. Which makes a lot more sense now, because it's not that the gain, I think, was wrong. It's just a DC offset. So, all we should need to do then, let's just take a look at the schematics as well. If I move this out the way, we've got that schematic, and if we've got the Mega Drive 2, let's open the Mega Drive 2 schematic. Right, and so if I pull up the schematic, what are we doing? We are, if I just zoom out a minute, this is a Mega Drive 1. I've invented this little product for the Mega Drive 2, which is just a RGB mod, so you get perfect RGB coming out of this. And I was trying to fit it in the Mega Drive 1 because I thought it was going to be identical, and then we could sell the products for Mega Drive 1 and 2. But they are actually different, so I'm going to have to make a mod for the Mega Drive 1 as well as the 2, but I wanted to figure out what was actually different, basically. Let me just go and boot this spammer in YouTube a second. I never remember how to do any moderation whatsoever on my chat. I think I have to open them up in here. Put user in timeout for 24 hours. There you go. Fuck off. So if that guy was being genuine, spamming the shit out of chat. So he's gone now. Yeah, so basically I've made a mod for the Mega Drive 2 that gives perfect RGB output. Installed it on the Mega Drive 1, and we basically get this output that you see, which is too dark. I was just doing it last night quickly. I didn't really do any research. I just thought, let's try and install it, see what happens. And I figured it was going to be, because it looks dark, it needs a different gain. So I changed the resistors to add gain, and it didn't really help. It was still dark. So that got me thinking this morning about what the real problem was. So that's literally where we're at now. We're about to investigate this. No, this is a Sega Mega Drive 1. So this is the shell to it. This is just mine, test unit. So let's figure out, by looking at the schematics, what's actually going on here. So I've got up the Mega Drive 2 schematics, and this is the one I've already made the product for, so I know what this one is. If I can find the page where it's at. There we go. So up here, this is the chip, and it's a CXA1145. Now on the Mega Drive 1, that is exactly the same. So this is stuck on over the top, but this says CXA1145. So it's definitely the same chip. So we know that's a good start. The other thing we need to check then, if the output's identical, which we did check yesterday, what are the inputs like? Uh, 68K plus timings to accommodate the new ROM. No, nothing. I haven't messed with anything in terms of this for doing anything. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. The Model 3 Mega Drive, I should also make the RGB for. A lot less common, but I should make it for it. Ever read on 1? No, I haven't. Right, so the inputs on here, we can see we have these pull-up resistors here, so 5.6K. Then we've got the RGB coming from the main chip on the Mega Drive 2. Then we have a voltage divider here, a 4.7K and 1.2K. And then a 22, what's this, micro, 100 nano, 22 nanofarad on there according to that schematic. And then it goes into the RGB. So let's check the Mega Drive 1. So this is a VA0. I don't know what board I've got, but they don't change much in terms of the video side. So we've got the RGB in here. Can't seem to drag with the mouse. It's hard to read, but I think that's the 5.6K up here. So yeah, I think that's 5.6K there. And 4.7 and 1.2. So the voltage should be identical because the voltage divider is the same, so 4.7, 1.2. So it just looks like the main chip, which on the Mega Drive 1 is this, must have a different internal DC offset, which it obviously does because we just measured it at 2 volts, and the Mega Drive 2 is 2.4. So that should mean all I've got to do is adjust the voltage offset on this chip, which is a shame because I've already put this into production. But if I hadn't, I could have had 3 extra resistors fit here and 3 little solder blobs here, and it would be universal. But at the same time, I think I can redesign the shape of this board to fit better with the larger chip of the Mega Drive 1. So I'm still going to offer a Mega Drive 1 and a Mega Drive 2 variant, basically. So hopefully, if I just disconnect the grounds so I can actually solder. Let me find out on my schematic which resistors are the ones I need to change. So that's there. Let me pull up my schematic. Right, 3 up, 2 there, 2 there. Oh, we also need to figure out what we need to do for the voltage divider. So I'm not going to give you the full details of how this works because obviously it's my design and people already clone what I do. But I can certainly give you enough info to follow along. So we should have a... we can close that down now, close that schematic. We need a voltage divider calculator up, because basically the way I remove the DC offset is to have, well, this is a spammy website, it's full of, I've got more ads on this website than actual info. This is the voltage divider website, so all we want to type in at the top is 5 volts, and the way I remove the DC offset is with 2 resistors on this board. Obviously more than just that, but ultimately the thing that removes it is a combination of voltage dividing. And I've got a 3K and a 2.87K on the board at the minute. So I'll just use ohms, it doesn't matter as long as the ratio is the same. And you can see we've got a 2.44 DC offset removal for the Mega Drive 2. We left it just below 2.5 in case there's slight variance and you don't want to clip the colour, which is exactly what's happening on this Mega Drive 1. But we've seen this Mega Drive 1 as a 2 volt offset, so we need to change this. Let's lower this down. 2.2, we need to get this down to 2 volts. Let's try just 2. Bang on. So all I need to do is change 3 resistors from 2.87K down to 2. Now, we might want to go slightly above 2 to not clip, but I'm just going to go down to 2 for now. I'll probably put like a 2.1 in when I make the board, just to go slightly above. So that's what we want to do, and those resistors on here are, where's my schematic again? Let me make this smaller so I can see at the same time. We're upside down, so let's flip this around just so I'm looking at my schematic the same way, otherwise I'm going to get confused. Right, so it's the third pin up, it's the third chip here we need to swap, the third down here, and this one here. So we need to, oh, and by the way, this board is now back to the stock. For anyone that watched yesterday, I've put the stock one on. This is the one we modified with different resistors. So at the minute, this is a completely stock Mega Drive 2 RGB. If you wanted to buy this, because this will come out sooner than the Mega Drive 1, you could buy this and swap these 3 resistors if you really wanted to. But I will make a dedicated Mega Drive 1. So we just need a 2K resistor, well, 3 of them, and hopefully this will work. So we've got bang on 2K, so let's start with that. And then, like I say, I could in theory make a universal board, but I already have a clean RGB universal, and the whole point of this is to make the installs as easy as possible. If we start having jumper wires people need to do, and it's just going kind of away from the point of why I made this board, which was to make it as easy and foolproof as possible. So if I just pull up the scope so I can see what I'm doing, I'll just hot air these off, it's the quickest way. So not quite as clear as the overhead cam, but it's so I can actually see depth perception. I can actually do this though. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? So let's just hot air 3 off and swap them over. Yeah, if you have questions, ask away. I'll look up at chat in a minute in between work. And welcoming, guys. Seeing a few more of you join. Right, so we wanted the third one up, so we want to take this one off. We're probably going to ping the wires off doing this as well, but quick enough we won't. Ease off, third one down on the other side. Oh, yeah, there's the wires trying to escape already. And second one off. This, and then we'll put on the new resistors, which are 2K. Wow, didn't expect that still to be molten. With the board being so small, it takes a while to cool down after hot air. Right, so we just need to put them wires back on as well. I'm going to touch that up with the iron because I'm not liking this. I didn't put flux on, so it's a bit dry. In fact, I could just put flux on and reflow. Yeah, I'm just going to get off my iron. Let me just put some flux down on this so I can reflow these connections. And then this one should flow into place nice and easy. It's better. And then let's just attach them wires back down. This is the wrong hand to be trying to attach this wire to. Not bothered about the slightly dry joints for now. This is just to test the product. Yeah, that'll be good enough. And with that, we've changed them resistors now, so if I've done the math right, this should now have an offset that only removes the 2 volt off the signal that's there on the Mega Drive 1. And in theory, we should have actually perfect RGB output in a minute. This board is a Mega Drive 1, so it is these, I'm sure you remember them. I've made a mod, so getting the video output the best it can be on retro consoles is typically RGB output. And I've made this little mod that you've just seen me working on. This is a clean RGB as it says, and this makes the video output go into this blue SCART cable perfect. Then I can put it through an OSSC and give you HDMI on screen in a minute. So it works perfect for the Mega Drive 2, it's in production. But then I thought, I wonder if it works on the Mega Drive 1 exactly as is, and it doesn't quite, because the Mega Drive 1 we've discovered has a slightly different DC offset. So I've just swapped some resistors that should fix that. And now we'll see if, now I've fixed that, do we get perfect RGB on the Mega Drive 1? And then if it does, I'll make a new board for the Mega Drive 1 with them resistors on, shape it a bit better so it fits the Mega Drive 1 easier, and release it in about 4 weeks for sale. So I'm just giving this a second to cool down, and then, to be honest, it's probably cool enough now. We can get the RGB cable in, and we can obviously, we'll check this on scope after to make sure the voltages really are correct and perfect, but I think we'll start with a visual. Normally you can tell quite well visually if this is, you know, correct. So let's go for it. What do we reckon? White's looking good. The key will be Sonic. That's looking nice and bright. I want to say it's still a little bit dark though. I want to say that's a little bit under gate. Oh, I don't know. Hey, that looks pretty perfect to me. Thanks. Glad you're liking the stream. Yeah, that looks pretty spot on to me. How's that nice for Sonic? Where's the controller? So yeah, it looks like the Mega Drive 1 and 2 are basically identical RGB outputs, but the Mega Drive 1 has a 2 volt offset, Mega Drive 2 has a 2.5 volt offset. Morning, welcome in. So, I could easily make this board a universal board by changing, well, adding 3 extra resistors down here and adding 3 bridges, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this one a Mega Drive 2, and I'm going to make a specific board for the shape of the Mega Drive 1 chip, so it's better install. Because this still works, but we can do better for the install. If you use one of the other brands of SCART cable, which, for those that don't know, basically, I'm all about, like everything you see here I've made. So this blue cable is something I've made, it's not off the shelf. This is pure DC, so you put a multimeter on end to end, you gain a straight through connection from RGB. So what's coming out of the console is going to your screen. I've wrote a whole article on Retro6.wiki about why that's better and why we should do it. You don't have to get a SCART cable for a US one, an English one, a Jap one. You don't have to find different cables. You don't have magic in the cables messing with things and adding capacitors and sync strippers and all that shit. This is just pure straight through. You expect the console to have the right RGB, and this cable is just a cable. It's obviously a double shielded high quality cable, but it is just a straight through cable. The way everybody else does it is they tend to either not mod the console at all and put all kinds of magic and offsets in the cable, and then you have to buy a cable per console. It's also got capacitors in and all that crap I mentioned, so in my eyes, not as good. If you plugged one of their cables into this, you'd probably just get a darker screen, maybe lose sync, because they're expecting the voltage to come out completely wrong, basically. So I'm all about trying to get perfect RGB, like absolutely 0.05 volt on the oscilloscope, perfect IRE specs. That's what all my kind of RGB mods are about. And so far we've achieved that. We have RGB now on, well, we've tested this on probably about 20 different retro consoles now. I've got the clean RGB universal that you can tune to any system at all. And now this is the first one I've made that's actually a drop-in install without having to tune it. More for easy modding, whereas the clean RGB universal is a complex beast that you have to tune and use an oscilloscope for. So yeah, this definitely looks good to me. We'll check it under the scope in a second, but I'm expecting this to be as good as perfect. I'm expecting a 1.4 volt amplitude and a 1.6 volt offset roughly. And yeah, let's just admire how nice Sonic's colouring was. He definitely got that right. Just the blues and the greens. It was just lovely. So let's take a look at what these voltages actually are. Oh yeah, if you want a Mega Drive, just jump on the website. We've got them listed now. If you want anything specific, just let me know. Right, so I need to pull up the scope again, and let's see. So I've still got it pulled. Oh, mind you, we don't need that capture pause. I was going to say I've got the capture pause originally, but we don't need that. Let's pull up this. So the output I need to look at is. One second, let me find the resistor I need to show you guys. Let's go on, say the red. They're all going to be the same, but the red is one below. Right, so I need to show you the output on red, which is this one here. This should be 0.2 volts on the offset and 1.4 volt amplitude. That's what we're after. So if we now go down to here, increase this, lower this, this is the signal. So if we restart, we'll get a pure white Sega screen. So that's where we can measure. So see that? That's the pure white Sega screen. Well, this is here. So that gives us a nice easy reference point to measure. And now we can see the DC offset. Here is too high, so it's 0.4. So that 2 kilo ohm resistor we put on, we'd probably want to slightly reduce because we haven't quite taken off the DC offset. 0.4 though is fine. Your receiver will do what's called sync tip restoration, and it's going to remove that voltage anyway. But depending on the brand of TV, you really want to get this voltage as close to 0.2 as you can. So I'll change that resistor after, but the amplitude is what's important. This wants to be 1.4, and it's 1.2. So we're ever so slightly out of spec. The perfect value would be 0.2 here, and to be honest, that would be fine. All we'd need to do is remove that little bit of 0.2, and the amplitude would correct itself. So when I make the production run, I'll make a sample of this for the Mega Drive 1. I'll make sure these numbers are perfect. So where you see that white line is perfect RGB. Our line is currently here. So we're not quite perfect with that value, but it wasn't a bad guess for the very first attempt. And we can see on screen who'd noticed that wasn't perfect as well. It's just I've got an oscilloscope and I can tell you that's actually, we're actually pulling blacks ever so slightly up. So pure black isn't pure black on this screen. and that's it basically. So your lower end blacks will be slightly lighter. That's all that voltage offset would cause. So the perfect thing there, that black screen is apparently not pure black. The other thing that can happen is a TV can sync strip, or what's called sync tip restoration, that 0.4 volts off, and then it won't over brighten whites. So I think in terms of the OSSC, I'd say it's more than likely it's actually made the blacks pure black, and I think this white isn't pure white. So basically that's what's going on. But there's the RGB mod figured out for the Mega Drive 1. I'll finish that up. I'll design a board next week while I'm away and get that into production, and make another board. So this one's coming out in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I'll list it for sale later today, and then I'll make the exact same thing with these fixed resistors but perfect RGB, and I'll make it fit nicer into the Mega Drive ones. So that's the goal of next week basically. For the output of the cable, length of the cable, this can run quite a long distance. These are, to be honest, these are I reckon about 1.8 metre, I can't even remember. But this is correctly attenuated. This has got the correct attenuation on, and it's 75 ohm load. So 75 ohm load over a cable doing 4 meg can go surprisingly far. But yeah, you wouldn't want to go too far in terms of length, but you can go further. The problem you'd have if you were making cables and you were changing the 75 ohm load to say 150 is you just halved the length of the cable that it could be, because the termination is higher, so your current's weaker. So if you've got a correct 75 ohm resistor output, which by the way, this is the only one of anything on any Mega Drive that does it, nobody has an RGB mod that outputs the correct impedance on the output, this is genuinely the only one that now does it, then your cable run shouldn't be an issue either. So we'll pack this one up, and as you can see in the corner, well, you can on the horizontal, you can't so much on the vertical, I've got the usual game gears. I've got a ton of game gears to build. Can it fix the jail bars? I've done jail bar fixing on retro6.wiki. It's not related to the RGB in any way. It's just that RGB can show up jail bars because it's so clear. The jail bars almost always come from a chroma clock, a Z80 clock, or a sound clock on pretty much all retro consoles. So all that means is typically when they're running crystal lines, so say, zoom out a bit so you can see. So we have fast crystal here. We have, is there any other crystals on the Mega Drive 1? Is it a single crystal? No, it looks like it's a single crystal. So this crystal will power the system. And then the Z80, I believe, does that make a, I think this makes a 4 megahertz clock for sound, and then this sound chip has it as well. So this can generate a 4 meg clock. This has other clocks coming out. This has a chroma clock coming from somewhere else. We can just look at the schematic to find that out. And what normally happens is where say these traces here were the red, green and blue traces. These can come close to, say, high frequency clocks from this, and you get crosstalk. And the reason it's jail bars for clocks is the clocks go in sync with the video output in some fashion. That's why you get perfectly straight lines, because the clock is perfectly in line with the RGB signals because it's used to generate them. If you get things like checkerboard patterns, it's normally a chroma on your sync pin. But yeah, all those kind of visual issues are fixed on retro6.wiki, and I'll figure out where they are, show you where they are, and show you how to fix them. But it's not related to, you know, an RGB mod doesn't fix those issues, unless part of the install guide is basically telling you to cut traces, lift them, and, you know, move them out of the way of those issues. But I treat them as two separate things. I'll show you an install on RGBs, and then I'd say if you're getting jail bars on certain versions, this is exactly how you fix them. You know, they're two separate things, basically. Oh yeah, I remember, to be honest, in the 90s, I remember trying to beat Sonic, and I always used to get stuck on the water level with all the metal, basically, like, you know, all your steel. I think it's like zone 3 or something, zone 3 or 4, but where you start getting all the spinning discs with blades and everything. I used to get stuck on that so much. Same with Alex the Kid, to be honest. I used to play Alex the Kid tons. Well, I call it Alex the Kid, and everybody slates me. I used to do TikTok pre-recorded vids. Oh, you call it Alex the Kid, you're screwed. No, it's Alex Kid. That's all the comments were filled with. But in my defence, listen to the theme tune of Alex the Kid, as I'll call it, and it goes da 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 da. To me, that's Alex the Kid, Alex the Kid. That's literally what I hear in my head. So that's why, and so many people call it that because literally it's like a 50-50 split. Some people call it Alex the Kid, and others say Alex Kid. I'm in the park, by the way, so feel free to slate me every time I say it wrong. Alright, so Sonic's back there, cables are done. Mega Drive, I've got to remember them values now for when I make the mod. Well, 2K resistor, it's fairly easy to remember. Get my wires back off this, and then we'll move on to the Game Gears. Haha, AI camera can't always track me if I move fast enough. What's the oscilloscope setup? I have a picoscope, I'll show you in a second when I've taken these wires off. And packed up my working Mega Drive. And by the way, if you're interested in more about the tools I've got and how you do this, if you sub to Twitch or you be a member on YouTube, I'm doing sub-only streams after next week where you can actually watch how we do things, how we solder, what equipment I've got, how to design hardware, basically anything you guys want. That's what I'll be doing on the sub-only streams. I'll still be doing normal ones, but there'll be a lot of sub-only streams to teach people how to do this as well if you're interested. Oh yeah, I think somebody asked what time it was over here. Yeah, 6:19 at the minute. What am I missing? Oh, that's just hanging in the wrong place. Not selling anything. Well, we do sell stuff, but this is just me fixing and inventing a new product for the Mega Drive for the clean RGB. And now I'm about to gut these to make new Game Gears that I've made. So this is a new board that basically replaces the boards inside of these, and we sell them maxed out consoles. So that's my Mega Drive done. So in terms of scope, I have down here, I've got tons of them. I've literally got about 20 different scopes, but this is my main one. This is a Picoscope 6 series. I don't know which one it is, 6.4. So, well, I can open. If I open the Picoscope software, it'll tell me. I think it's 6.4 something something. It's not the most powerful one I've got, but it's the most universally useful. I've got one specific for super high resolution. So this is a 6402D, the scope. And then I just use the Picoscope software running on the PC, and then I just drag it over to this screen here. So this is my second monitor, and then I can always just pull up the second monitor. So if I wanted that to show on screen, I click this button and you guys see that screen. So all I normally do is drag, say this is my design of the Mega Drive 2, I can drag anything over and you guys can see what I want you to see basically on stream. So that's how I do the overlay. Right, so that can close. Oh, 4 coffees in, I've had one. To be honest, now you've said that I want another coffee, I'm going to grab another one. I normally have about, yeah, to be honest, I'm normally on about 4 coffees by 9 o'clock. I even made this little thing. Da-da. And then I can zoom in or go overhead cam. I think we go overhead cam. We're zoomed out and then there you go. See what you've done? Now I've got to get a coffee. So it won't be 5 minutes, I'll be like 1 minute. It takes like a minute to make a coffee in the machine. And then we'll jump on stripping these Game Gears and getting them working, and then transferring them over to the VPCBs. There we go, that wasn't 5 minutes, was it? So now we can do the game gears. Look at that, looks even nicer on screen. Shumgate perfectly centre on the vertical. Let's even pull focus on the coffee. Which way's focus? Shum. There you go. Perfect coffee view. Morning, welcome in. We've just finished up a Mega Drive 1. We figured out the clean RGB for that now, so I'm going to make a clean RGB for the Mega Drive 1 while I'm away next week. And now I need to... we've got, as always, loads of Game Gears that sell permanently. And what we have is... we've run out of 2 ASIC Game Gears because we're waiting on the 1 ASIC to come. So I've got tons of 1 ASIC left, but the 1 ASIC re-PCB hasn't arrived yet. So we've got to... These are my rarer consoles, so the reds, the light blues. This is where I made all the Game Gear shells from. These are the shells I used. I took, say, a battery cover off, sent this to the factory, and they colour matched our red Game Gear shells with the red cover. Same with the light blue. I had several of these, so they had the light blues. But now we've run out of 2 ASICs, and we've got customers that have ordered Game Gears. As per usual, you can tell. It's the VDPs that are dead. We've got plenty of everything else. And these have actually had multiple ASICs on to confirm that they're definitely dead. And I was getting curious as well, with all these VDPs that are dying, so that's the right ASIC. I put this into a fully working stock Game Gear, because I thought the visual issues you get when the VDP dies, I've never seen on an original. You know, don't remember seeing it. So I moved this over to an original Game Gear and saw the exact same visual, so I can confirm it's definitely, the VDPs do die, and it's nothing to do with like the re-PCB, for example. When do I sleep? I've been asleep since like 11 last night, probably. I think I was up about 4:30 this morning. I've been getting up a bit later recently. I've been getting up at like 5:30 for a good few days. Yeah, nice, doing a PhD in legacy Internet of Things gaming devices. Nice. Got one of your GG kits the other week. Nice. yeah, the VDP dead, no shocker. Out of these 3, what are we reckoning? They might not even be 2 ASICs yet, so we need to strip these down first. If we don't have any 2 ASICs, I can't go any further anyway. So we need to kind of hope these are 2 ASICs. But yeah, that's these are 2 boards up here that died because of, well, basically everything worked except the VDPs as per usual. The only positive is when you come to do the 1 ASICs, it's basically if the ASIC doesn't work, it's your soldering or the ASIC's dead. So it's a nice, easy diagnostics. So what are we reckoning? 2 ASIC. Now the problem is the fact this is a rarer colour. I'm going to guess this was released later, and it's not going to be a 2 ASIC. Now, in my look, no. So 1 ASIC, which is basically that big ASIC there. I probably should have thought that through a bit more logically. Kind of makes sense that later models will more than likely be 1 ASICs. So I might as well put them back together. And then I guess it's going to be the same for the light blue, which means we've probably got 1 chance at this, which is the original over in that corner there. And you can probably tell as well without opening them. I've just never bothered yet. You can probably just look through the battery compartment logically. You can probably like see here and notice a certain cap in a certain place. There's only so many versions of the Game Gear board. So if we did enough photos, we could probably say, without opening them up, you can check which is a 1 ASIC. If this is identical to the red, then we know, yeah. So that's got the C48 there, so we don't even need to open that one up. C48. So I should probably start making a reference to that. In fact, let me just let me get this close up on stream, and then I can screenshot it for the wiki. There's a nice close up, so we can say, if you're looking in the battery compartment and you see that, then that's definitely a 1 ASIC. So now let's hope this doesn't say C48. Yes, that's different. So this says C38, so let's leave that in focus. Now, it could still be a 1 ASIC, this could just be a different version. But that gives us a little bit of hope that we might have a 2 ASIC. Just put the screw back in this. Thanks for the sub, guys. That's my alarm in case I'm dead. If I haven't woken up by 6:30, there's something majorly wrong. That's that one. And that one can be put back out the way for now. And all our eggs are now relying on this Game Gear being a 2 ASIC and having a working VDP. So the chances of that are slim to none. And this is literally the only Game Gear left in the building that is potentially a 2 ASIC, and then we're waiting on. I should actually ask the factory how long the 1 ASICs are going to be. Let me just send them a message. I've worked on mini disc players. I've worked on loads of other things bar retro, but we're that busy now. We're literally permanently flat out with hundreds, well, 1 to 200 consoles on average at all times. So we just don't get time anymore to work on the other stuff. In fact, you can just wait a second while I need to send the factory a new version of that Mega Drive 2. I told him yesterday that it was going to be the Mega Drive 1 written on that chip, getting excited thinking it was going to work on the Mega Drive 1, and then realised last night it didn't, so I told them to change it back to Mega Drive 1. Now I need to tell the factory to change it back to Mega Drive 2, so I've made a right mess being impatient on the production of the product. So let me just send them the file before I forget. Mega Drive, and then what was I going to ask the factory? I forgot. Oh yeah, how long the 1 ASICs are going to be. Mega Drive 2, clean RGB. Oh, I've got to pull the Git repo. Let me also ask them about that. How long until... I'm sure I asked them this yesterday. Oh, he said next week. Ah, nice. So the 1 ASIC versions of this re-PCB ship next week while I'm away. So when I come back, that'll definitely be on stream. We'll be selling the 1 ASICs. Well, we sell the 1 ASICs already. They say pre-order. Dreamcast Clean Power. Discard that. That's an old one. Okay. Oh, that's an old folder. I was about to say, where the hell's it gone? Mega Drive Clean Power, that needs to be renamed now to Mega Drive 2 Clean Power. No, Mega Drive 2 Clean RGB rather. Resources, MD2, MD2, MD2. Open this up. So this is just me making the product packaging for that Mega Drive 2. Just getting it sent to the factory while they're still working, because China obviously finished their day. Pretty much not far off now. Works on all Mega Drive 2 consoles. Right, save that out. Actually, go to the back. Save, export as PDF. Nearly done, and then we'll get on to this Game Gear. PDF for export, advanced. Text as curves, export, front, and then show the back, export, back, right, done. Send them two to factory and then I don't forget. And then I also need to update one more second my actual product listing in the back-end system that tracks our products. That's still called the Mega Drive 1. Commit push. Clean RGB. Mega Drive there, that's now Mega Drive 2. Done. Right then, we are fully done. That's the factory done. The new code change pushed. Right, let's go. Have I sorted it? Have I sorted what? Sorry, is that the Mega Drive 1 clean RGB? If so, yeah, we did it at the start of the stream. It wasn't a voltage gain issue. It was actually a DC offset issue. So we've got it working, but it needs different resistors. So I'm still going to make a Mega Drive 1 dedicated clean RGB. So it's an easier install. I could quite easily mix the two up and put like jumpers and stuff on, but I'm just going to make a product per one. And that way, yes, we've got a 2 ASIC. That way we have an easy install for, in fact I should keep the screws, the good screws. We have an easier install for the customers, not like having to bridge wires depending on what version you've got basically. Where did the company name come from? I'm a software developer, so my other company, or one of the other companies, is called Angel 6. I do videos on that as well, and I train people up how to do software. So Retro 6 was a nice kind of fit because I've already got a company called Angel 6. That name come about from when I was a kid, because I set up that company when I was like 10 or 12, no, 12 or 14. I got into software about 10. I set up a little company when I was like 14. And then I registered it as an actual company probably when I was about 18, 19. But I was just that was like my little online name. Just sounded cool, just something that sounded good. So no, nothing special behind the name other than I was a young kid and it sounded ace. And then it's obviously stuck, and now Retro 6 is just taken the 6 part of the name. Because Angel Retro doesn't sound very good. Got all the screws, yep. That's the board out, we don't need any of that. And now we've got what we want here. Yeah, I think some people expect like a really cool story behind the name, but I'm like, no, just a kid. Sat there for a while, randomly saying names out until something sounded cool, and then went with it. Just sounded nice. And then, so this is the original Game Gear. And we don't know whether this won't work because it's in a pile of non-working stuff, and you can see that compared to our remade board. TikTok's decided to ban us yet again, so TikTok's now dropped off. People who are still in will see it, but nobody else will see it. The usual. Just constantly ban everything. You like the castellated edges around the chips you need to solder to? Yeah, as in like when you bringing ribbons up and soldering to, because the castellated edges are when you put a veer at the edge of the board and drill through and cut off, which I don't think any of these boards have. That's like the official thing of what a castellated edge is. You basically take like these holes, plated through holes, and if we were to chop, zoom in a little bit because we're going to have to zoom in anyway. But say we were to chop through this halfway through the veer, and this was the edge of the board, so you have like a half moon. That's a castellated edge. It's basically when you've got like a veer at the edge of the board that's cut in half a bit. Yeah, you'll still be on TikTok, but now if you notice, it's 19 viewers, not like 200 to 300 that we normally get. Literally it's like every other stream they just block us. I moan about it far too much. I should just stop moaning. Yeah, for the mods, I think one of the best ones for technically castellated edges is the one I just did. What did I just do? PS1, was it? So like these are, yeah, so these are good ones here, because they make it flow, mainly because you've got the through hole veers on. So I've just built a PS1 maxed out up, so you've got them edges. So see, like they're really small versions of it, but that is a perfect castellated edge where it's got a veer right on the edge, but it helps the solder then flow to the other side of the board, to under here. So when you place this down, like if this was obviously the right pitch for this, you'd place them down here and they solder on good. It's something I plan to do on the flex ribbons for my products. I just put a top layer on some of them, and it's not the best way. This is the best way to do it. You don't need the 2 veers, but again, works better than 1 veer, I guess. But yeah, that's the perfect way to allow easy soldering to the board, because it does make a huge difference. So it's definitely the best approach for tacking things onto the edges. Yeah, we've got, for TikTok, this is what I mean about banned, in the sense is that you might as well be banned, because you go from hundreds of views to none, and he just keeps doing this constantly, like every other view, for no reason. Redirecting purchases outside of TikTok. And I've seen loads of people moaning on TikTok, like, I'll mention the odd thing like, oh, you can grab something from AliExpress, or you can grab something from Amazon, or anything like that. Those streams are fine, and then streams where I try to actively not say stuff, which I don't really want to. The whole point of this is you can see what I'm doing, and I can direct you to where I go. That's why the TikTok thing kind of pisses me off, because I'm doing my job, this is my business, and it takes me 3 times as long to do a job on stream. That's why we have the subs and the super chats for donations and things to help the stream out. But to not be able to talk about that you actually have a business and you sell stuff, I'm never going to stop doing that. So TikTok just like literally blocks views every other stream. But it's just annoying to see. You set it up, you're wasting bandwidth on it, you're engaging with the audience, and then preventing you from growing, which is then kind of affects your business, doesn't it? So oh, there's tons of systems I don't like working on. That's why we don't work on them anymore. Nintendo DSEs, PSPs, PS Vitas, PS4s, every PlayStation except PlayStation 1 I don't really like working on. Yeah, that's pretty much a main one of them. Nintendo DSEs, every version, just too finicky. Right, so we've seen this plenty of times now. It's one of the main things we do because we sell so many. But let's get the ASIC transferred over. So we're going to take this chip off the Game Gear that may or may not work. We'll put him onto this one, which is just sitting here waiting nice and quietly for a working VDP. It's already had 2 bad ones put on, so it's not very happy. It wants a working one. So we're going to hope this is the working VDP we've been looking for. But we shall find out soon enough. So, extractor fan, hot air, and away we go. My poor Twitch following isn't growing much. We have one Twitch viewer today. seems really hard to grow Twitch. Like all the other channels, I mean, the other channels, in fairness, do like have existing audiences on Twitch. I just made the account and I also do a stream on it. I haven't advertised it, done nothing. But I've got no idea how you'd grow Twitch, to be honest, other than doing that. So maybe it'll grow one day. We've got like 170 followers on it, I think, now, but we don't get any viewers. Maybe they mainly watch at different times, I don't know. Yeah, coffee number 5 if this doesn't work. If this doesn't work, it's quite annoying because it's just such a common occurrence. But at least once the 1A6 come next week, I've got literally 50 to 100 Game Gears sitting here waiting for that, so that'll be nice to have. The only thing is I don't like dropping the 1A6 as much because the pins are so fine. Picking them off the board or touching them, anything kind of bends them. So it's, you know, I do like the 2A6 for that reason. I've also noticed using this extractor fan, by the way, massively slows down the time it takes to hot air it off because it's sucking cold air over the hot air. So let me move that out of the way. I was like, why is this not coming off? And it's because of that. At morning, Mark, we are transferring the only remaining VDP I have left in the building onto a Game Gear in the hopes that this is going to work, because this is literally the last one I have. So that's that off. Here's the other board sitting patiently hoping and praying that this is going to work. So let's see. Let's get him dropped down on. Get him aligned something like, or not, pick you up with tweezers then. It's my laziest thing, I can't be bothered to align them. Yeah, that'll do, sod it. We'll fix the alignment after if it doesn't pull itself into position. For the clean RGB for the Mega Drive, I've already had the prices in for the Mega Drive 2. It's literally going to sell for £13, nice and cheap. So the Mega Drive one's almost definitely going to be the same. So we'll sell the kits on their own for that. And then on the main website in Send-In Services and Pre-Made Consoles, I'll probably revise the pricing once they come in, because the current pricing is based on the clean RGB Universal, which takes a lot longer to install, whereas this new mod will be quicker. But the Send-In service has like a base rate of somewhere between £40 and £60 depending on console. That covers everything that you have to do on any console regardless. So opening up the packaging, testing the console, like a full QC test before you do anything, cleaning inside enough that you can service the work you're doing, closing it back up, testing again, packaging, customer service, warranty, all that stuff that's like generic and goes with every console and every job. That's your base rate. And then you just select mods on top of that, and the cost for the mods then, I don't charge you for the time it would take to get into the console or close it up or test it. You're only charged then for the time that, I'll leave that on a minute, the time that the actual mod work takes. So if you're selecting multiple mods, the prices are more accurate then. But I'll have both of them in at about, say, probably 3 to 4 weeks at most, and then I can update the website if they're not already on to have them on. Right, is that as zoomy as this gets? There we go. Let me try and look for shorts a minute. And these shorts are here because I couldn't be bothered to align it accurately. So when you don't align it super accurate, you can get some shorts when the pins pull into position. Maybe that's one. Definitely isn't now if it was. Yep, all looks good. So I'm just gonna, I know it looks like the board is still warm, but I'm just gonna warm it back up a little bit to clean this flux off. see if that looks good now. And then the other thing is, I forgot, if you become a member on YouTube or sub on Twitch, you also get 10% off the store for everything. So if you actually do want to purchase something, it makes a lot more sense to sub for like £2 and then get 10% off your order. All you do for that is join the Discord. The link's literally on this video. You'll get invited if you link your YouTube or Twitch to Discord, the one that you've then subbed to the channel to. You'll get invited to a chat called Elite Members, and in there's discount codes, and you can literally get 10% off anything in the store. Leaving little bits of flux on like this doesn't cause issues if it's no clean flux, which is pretty much what every flux is these days. Otherwise it could slightly corrode. You can bath these, you can dishwasher them, you can clean them any other ways, but generally I'll clean the whole board. So like before they go out, we'll do heavier cleans than this as the general rule, but we wouldn't normally get under the chips as such on everything. You can obviously do that if you want. I am tempted to, I don't know, I've got ultrasonic cleaners, but they don't work that good. Literally dishwasher's the best way if you want to clean these boards heavily. But yeah, to get under the chips you really need, I'd say a dishwasher to clean off under the chips, and then they come out like flawless. So that is, literally that's all we can really do, is hope that this works. Because that's the only VDP we've got left, and I've looked high and low, all in my personal collection and everything. There is no other Game Gears left. Purchased one of the earlier single ASIC reboards about 1.5 years. Yeah, so the SYF boards were obviously made by SYF, and we were working with them to have some of them branded because we were selling that many of them. We had like a batch of 100 or something made and had them branded. So they weren't made by us, them ones, whereas these ones are made by us. This is my design, and we've made. So this is the 2 ASIC. The 1 ASIC's coming next week for the VPCB, and these are obviously designed by me. So they got all the features and support for all of our mods. I'll show you how to install them, nice and easy. And the 1 ASIC is just the same. So I do tons of streams on these, so you won't really miss them because I do that many streams on them. Just because that's one of the main sellers, like literally one of the key things we sell is Game Gears maxed out, and we can't build enough of them. We've never got a single Game Gear in stock ever. They're built to order constantly. So we get this game slot in. And let's hope this works. Major difference, yes and no. Mine's designed by me and the other one's designed by Math for SYF. They both work. I'd like to say mine's easier to install, but mine's dedicated on supporting our products. So our clean screen, our chips. I've got a lot more features like this USB port that we're going to power up. So we don't need a power board to test, we can plug a USB port in. We don't need an audio jack, an audio board to test, we can plug in headphones. So for bring up and diagnostics, and I've got a built-in reset button, I think this is better in that way because I can just literally test the console without anything else attached. But again, I'll get a bit biased to my products because I've made them. Ooh, shit. Smash the screen while we're at it. But no, they both work. They're both, they're both good. But I'll bias myself towards mine, obviously. Right, so let's hope. Let's see if this works. I'm going to be gutted if this is another dead VDP. Oh, solid colour screen. Now, that's not the end of the world. Solid colour screen could mean, now we've got this far, you can't really see on that, it's a dark green screen. The bad screens are normally the Z80s, I believe. Or he just hasn't loaded a game. Black screen. Green screen. Yeah, this is promising. I think this is a game load issue. Oh, no, it isn't. It's a VDP issue again. I don't know. I'm dubious at this one because we're getting mixed results. That's like it's getting symptoms of like bad Z80 or bad game load, but at the same time, and obviously Zach's built this one, so he does what I hate, which is to screw the screen together before we finished them. So it makes it impossible to test right. Let me take these out. Yeah, the US store will have them pretty much a week after we get them. So that's normally the case. They'll normally order new products almost straight away. They also might have pre-orders up already. I think I put pre-orders up for the one ASIC and some other products. Can't even remember what other products. I've released quite a few this week. But yeah, they've normally follow us in suit in terms of like what we have on the system. Better. Don't screw things together till we're done. They'll normally have exactly what we have to offer. Basically, they try to keep it in sync with us. Right, that makes it a lot easier to work on instead of being upside down all the time, flipping over. Now we can just work like this. So this, I don't know, I'm suspecting, we haven't really checked my solder work super accurately on the VDP either, but let's see if another game slot works any different. So exactly the same there, but how you gain a dark screen, and you can't really see because it's that dark, but this dark green screen, yeah, you still can't see. See that really dark green screen? If I take the game out, changes colour, and this is putting the game in and out. So this kind of change in behaviour typically indicates a Z80 issue. So that's why I'm hopeful it's not. It's either bad soldering or not the VDP, I'm hoping. So let me just check on my wiki what the most common thing is, because I'm sure if I pull up the wiki for you and we go to Game Gear, VPCB to ASIC, I keep notes of all the work I do on it and what the common faults are. So here we are, we get screen test will be black because we've got border. We're out of reset with border, yes. Screen is in screen test on the clean screen's black. Audio is a no, so we are down to here. Output's random colours. So 11 times it's been a bad Z80. 3 times it's been a bad VDP. So what's the guess? It's going to be a bad VDP, even though odds are in favour if it's a bad Z80. So let's hold hope that it's a Z80 for once. Maybe we should just really check the soldering good as well. Let me get the scope over. Let's do a proper check of the pins first. On the, well, might as well check on everything. If I could get the light to come on. How much for GGs? We sell them, I think, anywhere. There's some on offer for 200, and they tend to go between 200 and 300. You can spec them out though and have more or less features and get them cheaper. But yeah, that's the general price. So let's check these pins. No copyright as such. I don't put any mention of Sega. I don't write the word Game Gear, so it's called GG RePCB for that reason. We have already been sued by both Sega and Nintendo, so I'm well aware of litigation sides of things, and I try to be as careful as I can. That's there. But no, this board is literally designed by me. It's not a clone one for one. This is literally a complete redesign by me, just so you can transfer the chips over. So that's the only similarities, as I've made this this board obviously to suit components. So I don't think they'd be able to. Plus, normally for lawsuits, you'd have to prove damage to the business and loss of sale. So because they don't actively sell Game Gear, they can't really prove loss of earnings. The other thing they could go after is damage to the reputation. So if I was some kind of criminal, if you remember the Pablo Escobar phone, the main reason that was a problem was the reputation to the existing companies. So it's things like that. If I was damaging Sega's reputation by doing this and giving them a bad name, they can use that in court to try and say you know, we're putting a bad name on Sega, stuff like that. But yeah, I've been through the whole legal things many times, so I know what to look out for and what to be careful with when I'm making products. It'd be nice to just get officially licensed. I've been after that for a while. That'd be quite cool. So many other companies that don't do as good of a job have officially licensed products. It'd be nice to think we could imagine if we were an officially licensed new Sega Game Gear with an actual, potentially even getting Sega to reinstate the ASICs. It's one thing I was going to do, and I've looked into it, but the cost far outweighs the profit by a long stretch. So I don't think I'll go ahead with that idea, but if someone like Sega wanted to revive the Game Gear, it'd be ace if they worked with us. All these pins are good. These I don't even need to do the VDPs. You can see the perfect solder balls on that one. So I don't even need to probe them. My eyes can literally tell me those pins are not floating. Yeah, those are absolutely definitely on. So let's hope for a Z80 then. That's our only hope left for today, because I literally don't have any more VDPs anyway. We have no other choice. PCBWay, yes and no. Unfortunately, they're quite a weak company in terms of standing by the strengths and morals. I know this because they wanted to, well, they did sponsor us, and then literally a few tiny people in the Game Boy community, which are known to just be haters and aggressors, literally reached out to PCBWay, and then they dropped us as a sponsor. And I'm like, wow, a company that large bowing down to a couple of handful of angry narcissists on a Game Boy thread was quite crazy. So I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of glad we don't work together then. I was using JLC PCB before that, and PCBWay approached me. I don't normally do sponsors because nobody likes it. No one wants to sit here and talk about sponsors. That's why I don't do them. I've been offered tons of them. The PCBWay one I accepted because I always make PCBs, and I thought natural good fit. It's not kind of blatantly advertising. It's just me talking about what I do. But no, I'd use JLC PCB. They're just as good, and they have a bit of a backbone when it comes to supporting people and not bowing down to the minorities, basically. If you don't really give a crap about politics, I've used them both. I don't really notice any difference between the two. PCBWay is just more popular than JLC PCB, but I'd use that. I get free samples now of my factories because I make so much, so I don't have to use them. Like, all my samples are made by main factories now. But before that, I was using JLC PCB until PCBWay approached me, and then, like I say, after that, I was using factories anyway, so I don't need either of the services now. And then the irony is as well, I'm sure people told me the iFixit people, the screwdriver people, cloned my Game Gear cap kit and basically slagged me off on some kind of social thing, and then they contacted me the other day wanting work for me. They want, like, sponsor me and give me free shit, and I just ignored them. I thought, well, the advertisement team clearly don't even speak to the people that are doing their streams or information, because they're just the same. Like I said, there's so much pettiness in so many areas of the retro. I just try and avoid anywhere that's brought up. I just try and avoid. I just like to get on with my day job, invent cool stuff, and you know, have fun streams. But politics are mental in the retro scene. And that's an old but new Z80 on there. So let's see if that works. I think we're fully zoomed in. No, we're not. Zoom in more. Sticking to the side underneath. Full focus. I always think the Z80 doesn't flow quite as nice either. So see how the pins just don't quite look as visually pleasing. Like this is a nice one. These look not quite as nice. It's always the case. It almost makes you want to drag solder the Z80 because it just never quite looks as clean. It's just the footprint. I think the pads on the Z80 are a bit too wide for a natural. I've got to wait for the iron warm up, like a natural flow. There we go. That's that one out. Yep, the rest look okay. Oh yeah, no, the people don't like people that know stuff. I think not just in the retro side of things, but I've had it mainly all my life in different areas and different ways. People just don't like people that are smart. It's just basic facts. Either they want the praise for themselves, or normally, because I do business, it's just going to take business away from people. So I'll make a product. It'll be cheaper, better, more in stock than what's on the market. And I think the other reason people don't like it is I don't normally, if I'm making something, I don't need help. I'll just look at the thing, go, right, this is how I'm going to make it. I'll make it, I'll release it. And I've not really got involved in the scene. So like the main issue was, there was a Game Boy scene at the start when I was doing the mods, and I spoke to nobody, wasn't bothered about the scenes, I just wanted to make cool shit. So I made shells, I made clean amps, I made all kinds of products, but nobody in the Game Boy scene, all these people that had made mods for years, had any idea who I was. So I've just come from nowhere, released all these products, and I think they felt a bit disheartened that they weren't involved in the process or even aware that I was there, and I just came from nowhere. That led to people thinking I cloned stuff because they couldn't believe one person that they didn't know about and they didn't guide and help and train could possibly know anything. It's just egos, basically. I think they'd been in the scene for that long, and they thought they were people they weren't. You know, they thought they were bigger people and knew more than they did. And then I took over. I literally took over the Game Boy scene, and nobody could deny that. If you go back 7 years, we literally wiped out the Game Boy scene. We sold, I think I did a thing the other day, 47,000 GBA clean amps we sold in 2 years. Nobody's sold even close to that. Did a similar thing with the Game Gear scene, and then again, all the existing modders that have been around before me, like the cap kits for example, they just don't believe we sold 11,000 cap kits as of about a year or two ago. And they thought we were just bragging, so I screenshotted the sales and went, there's no bragging, literally there's the sales trail. So we obviously sell more than most people even still, but people just don't like that. They don't like the fact that you're doing well in the scene. So they try everything to put you down, really. That's why now I focus on my own brand. That's why we only sell our own brand on the store, except a handful of things like High Speedido that I trust. You know, there's very few other products we'll sell because people are just out to basically either put you down or slag you off, and I'm not interested in that. I just want to make stuff. If you want to buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. If people don't buy our stuff and we close the business, it closes. I'll do something else. It's that simple with me. I'm not interested in the politics and the fighting for space in the scenes. I now just make my stuff, I push it on my website and I post it on Discord and say, it's out, that's it. That's as far as I go with advertising. If you guys like it, you'll buy it and spread the word. If you don't, it won't work, basically. No, so we've still got green screen. That's a shame. So I think we're down to, yet again, another bad VDP. That's just so annoying. But you have to bear in mind, these consoles we have, the reason we have them is they've already been worked on and we couldn't get them to work in the originals. So it seems like most of the case when that happens, it's because obviously VDPs seem to be the main cause. I could just swap the VDP over to another board just for the sake, the other one we have here. So this has a different Z80, a different CPU, and a bad VDP there as well. So we might as well swap it over just for the sake, just as a last hope that maybe the CPU on this one's bad. But instead of swapping the CPU, let's just swap the VDP over. And the likelihood is, if we get the exact same visual symptoms, we kind of know it's the VDP. You're not going to have two exact same symptoms with two different Z80s and CPUs if it was one of them two. Hey, welcome in. Thanks for the sub. Super on Twitch. Show a case for the Game Gear. We've got one clear that's not gone yet. Ooh, thanks for the donation on Super Chat. Much appreciated. We have this one. This one. We've got this one as well. I better not mix these up with customers, but here is a. This is a cream, so it hasn't got the lens on yet. AI tracking's failed again. This is the cream one. This is a clear one. Again, no lenses yet, they haven't been lens dropped. And this is one we're building that we haven't finished yet. But this is in homage to the SG-1000, the first Sega. This was before the Master System. It was called the SG-1000. So this is kind of a style in that. So we're building, I think we're building actually 5 of these I think I've sold. Or 4. These ones are for sale at the minute for like £190, something like that. Or £210 depending on if you're in the UK or not. On retro6.co.uk's homepage. There's like 1 or 2 left. Sapphire blue we sell loads of, but there's none on the counter at the minute. And yesterday, if you ask yesterday, we had tons on the side, so I could have shown you way more of them. But like I say, we pretty much we genuinely build the Game Gears and then they're gone. They just literally built and out the door. Right, so we wanted to take this one off, didn't we, and put that one on. And this one, before we actually hot air it, let me show you the symptoms of this other one. So this is what this VDP does. I don't know whether it's completely black screen or the classic VDP, I can't remember. Yeah, so this loads game, so you get Sega and everything playing, but this is, again, it's VDP. So you can see quite clearly that is the Sega screen. When we press start, you can see it go to different screens, but unfortunately, Z80 again. So that's what we're getting visually on there. Let's swap this over. Oh yeah, the ZX Spectrums. I don't really use them. I've got a shelf full of them, mainly to get every variant when I was working on them and diagnosing them. But we almost never see them in for repair, ever. I think I've done like 3 in 7 years. So either people just self-repair them in the scene. That was weird. Then when I saw a load of holes on the board, it's just the vias. Either people self-repair the Spectrums or they don't break as much, but I'm going to say it's the former because I brought a ZX Spectrum, the rubber key, is it the 16K or 48K? Tiny one. Brought one of them from one of the retro events when I was first starting this business. Left it on for a few hours and it died, and it had been fully serviced apparently. And I do think it seems like a fairly common thing that they die, but I think it just must be fairly easy to repair them as well, so we don't tend to get them in for repair. If I go that way, I'm going to knock them caps off, so let's go this way. Right, here's a dead VDP. Let's get this one off. Clean the other one. I've run out of IPA in my bottle again as well, so having to spray it on instead. Let's clean that one off. Fresh flux on this. Look at this multitasking. Taking a VDP off, getting ready, put one on. Hey, welcome in over now on Twitch. I don't know, is the Twitch views right? Because I literally have apparently one person on, but we do have, I have seen a few other comments on Twitch. I know we don't get many viewers, but is that viewer count just wrong maybe? Literally saying there's one person on Twitch. Yeah, too, so it's slightly off. It's like I've got no idea how to grow the Twitch side, to be honest. I think people that use Twitch are dedicated to Twitch is the main thing. I think if they're on Twitch, they like to use Twitch. Otherwise, it's YouTube. But I do have like, I suppose I might as well zoom in on this one. I do have quite a lot of people on YouTube from doing videos, whereas Twitch I've got nothing other than I've started streaming. So I've probably got to just take time to build that audience. Right, so let's get this one maybe a bit more aligned so we don't get shorts this time. There we go, that's closer, that'll do us. Hey, Mark still here on Twitch. That'll be the two people we've got on Twitch then at the minute, I reckon. Twitch streamers. Oh, you know what? A funny thing is, when I was making software for the last software company that I sold up and got out of, one of the funny things I was doing at the time was actually making a streaming service. This was all when COVID was popular and stuff. Making a video streaming bit of code, and I actually got the delay down to less than Twitch. Now, bear in mind, mine had no users, and it was, you know, basically a website with nobody on, but the goal was to try and get the stream delay less than Twitch. And I just managed to, pretty much in the background, it was using FFmpeg, just highly optimized with certain settings, and then Blazor to present the video app. But I remember specifically being impressed that I'd managed to get the delay on stream down to less than Twitch. I think I got it down to like, I think it was as low as 0.3 seconds, I want to say. Either 0.3 or 1.3 seconds, I can't even remember. I just remember doing a comparison, but it wasn't exactly that impressive because Twitch handles billions of users and we were handling like a couple of thousand. But it was still cool to do. That will do on the reflow on that. I think we're good. For the guy that mentioned as well, totally forgot, somebody asked about, will the heat kill these chips? Almost universally, no. You obviously can, but I've done that many, and I know they can handle far more heat than this. The other thing that kind of proves and disproves that is, if we get a working board, say this becomes a fully working board, I can literally take off the working VDP and then transfer other VDPs one at a time to prove if they're working, and then when they're done, put this working VDP back on. So I can have one board that's had a VDP transferred on and off 5 times and it still survives. That's why I'm you know, confident. Yes, heat can kill chips, but I'm very confident it isn't the cause of these. I think it's just, like we say, the VDP is the most active part of this system. It's the part that is always running constantly when the system's on with no breaks in between, so it's going to wear out the most naturally. So that looks okay. We'll have a little zoom in, and then we are literally, there's nowhere left to go at this stage now, because I've got no Game Gears left. So we're going to have to, any Game Gear Prestiges that are ordered now will be a week and a half away because I'm away for a week. The one A6 come in while I'm away, and then we'll be building up a load of Game Gears. TikTok is at like 13 viewers because they've blocked us again. That's what I say about it. It's crazy because if they don't block us, we get anywhere from 200 to 500 people. If they then decide to just block the stream, which is what they've done on this one, they've basically limited the visibility. Nobody will get shown this stream now. That's why you get ridiculously low numbers, which is a shame, but not much I can do about it other than have a good whinge every now and then. Right, so this one now wants to be tested in a second. Let's give that a good minute to cool down first. VDP stands for Video Display Processor in this case. Yeah, test jig, loads of people have mentioned, and I really should do it. It's just, what do you do, basically? I'm half tempted to just push the pins down, but it's just not good enough. You really need like a kind of proper jig or pogo pins. But these are custom sized chips, so it's not a standard chip size that you can just buy a test jig for. It would probably have to be a 3D printed, hand assembled jig with gold pogo pins in. It'd be quite a bit of work to set. It's doable. I'd have to make a 3D bracket that sits over a chip, pogo pins it in, and will also be connected to a board. You know, it's a lot of work for the sake of hot swapping a chip on. Takes me a few minutes. I don't mind doing it. It would be nice to not have to do the hot swapping though, but we do at the minute basically. Yeah, the minis are, yeah, they're a good and a bad thing. It's more of a danger because now they've released minis. If you carry on selling, like, say they release a Game Gear Mini, which they have and I own, they could quite easily come after us for making, you know, remade new ones using the old chips, because we could be taking away business from their mini business, and they still own the trademark to them. So that's the main concern, I think, with the minis. I do like the Game Gear Mini though, it's sick. It's literally, I'll have to go gate in a minute, it's tiny like this, absolutely minuscule. Let me see if it's charged, I'll go grab it a second. So this is the Mini. So here's, and this is the original. So look at that, like fits in the screen. How cool is that? A Mini versus a full size. So that's like quite a cool little comparison. Look how accurate they got the colour though. Like they clearly have stock of the original consoles to, or they've got the original Pantone colours or mix or something. But yeah, that's nuts how mini it is. Now, I don't know whether we can just play it off micro. Where's my connector's gone? Or whether you have to put the batteries in. I can't remember. Oh, it's not got a clean juice in. Oh, it has. You can bypass the power board, so it's as good as a clean juice. Let's take a little look at this. Move him out the way for now. Oh, we've got to clean that board now. I've just seen a load of, look at that messy board. When you're under the scope, so unforgiving. And then, let's get that. Looks massive there, doesn't it? And you zoom out, and then you realise my thumb is nearly the size of the console. So we have, it's hard to see, I will be honest. That's hard to see. Let me pull focus a bit. There we go. It doesn't help this Japanese either. They released these in Japan. I don't know whether they ever released them outside, but I brought this direct from Japan. So this is Sonic and Tails here. And then we've got, I don't know. I don't read Japanese. Oh yeah. There you go, different versions. So, oh, different games inside. So we've got like a little menu. Yeah, God knows, let's just go on Sonic and Tails. But yeah, pretty sick. No, this is an official one. It won't be. I doubt it'll be a Raspberry Pi inside. Well, to be honest, it might be. You never know. But most people, this is probably already hacked. A lot of people will hack these to load ROMs on. They've done it with like the Game & Watch. But surprisingly, you can use it. So my hands are quite big, and this is completely comfortable to use. It looks like it isn't, but honestly it is. It's completely comfortable. And it plays great, like no issues at all. It's genuinely good. It's just naturally, as a retro enthusiast, you want to hack this and load all the ROMs on it so you can play every game you want. You don't want a set of prefixed ROMs. Oh yes. Oh no. We could do mods for these as well. Hidden spring. Oh, I've missed it. There we go. So yeah, that's the mini one anyway. But yeah, honestly, that's usable. It looks like it isn't, but it is. Then it's got a headphone port, so it's got even more than the iPhone has. You've got obviously AAA's power it. or you can just use USB port directly. I'll leave the batteries out obviously because we don't want the batteries to leak when it's not in use. But yeah, that's the Mini. Mini next to Biggie. Now look how big Biggie looks. So now this feels monstrous. Right, this one, let's see. This is, like I say, pretty much the last thing we can do anyway, and I don't think it's going to work because the VDP didn't work on the other one. But what we'd expect to see now is hopefully just coloured screen. Well, not hopefully, we want it to work, but if we see coloured screen, bear in mind this one had scrambled screen with the other VDP that was bad. So this one gave us scrambled screen, but this one was giving us solid screen, so we should expect to see a solid screen. See, this is the thing that throws you off. Oh no, we did see that briefly on the other one, didn't we? When I got it to do that once, we did see that, and this light, yeah, it's definitely VDP. So that means on this one, we likely have a bad CPU as well, because it wasn't loading game. But the odd time it did load game, we got this. So I'm going to put a question mark on the CPU on that one, because well, it wasn't a very good question mark, but a line. So yeah, again, VDP failure, classic VDP failure. And you'll have game audio if I put this in. You'll see. So, unfortunately, that just means the Game Gears that we were going to get out are not going to go out now for another week, and they'll get a 1 ASIC because we literally don't have any VDPs left now. What's the variance in boards on the site? Say you have new ones coming in. Not sure on that question. What's the variance in boards on the site? Says you have new ones coming in. As in, oh, sorry. So this is a 2 ASIC. If your Game Gear's got two chips on, so this PCB is the 2 ASIC, and the other one that's about to come in, we've sold them all now, so I don't even have one. I don't think to show you. I do have an empty version of it though. So this is the blank. So you can see it's got one ASIC there. So it's the exact same board but made for the different Game Gear version. And that version is this one. So when you get an ASIC over here, one big one. So it's not a newer one or different in a sense, it's just for different. Wow, look at that chin on the overhead cam. You point down. It's just for the different versions of Game Gears. So we now support every version of Game Gear. It's just that they're not in for another week. So these are just going to have to sit and wait, unfortunately. These were for 2 customers, and we've obviously, it's just what it is. If you buy a pre-built console offers, we're building stuff all the time, so it's not like you're not going to get next day delivery. These are hand built by me or Zach. So if you want one, you order and you kind of sit in a line. We try to get prestiges like pre-built consoles out within a week to 2 at most. Like, we tend to not leave them more than 2 weeks. Coming up to Christmas though, you're probably best, if you want anything for Christmas, you almost definitely need to order now to guarantee Christmas delivery. We've already got like repairs, for example. The repairs that are in now will just about get done before Christmas. Anyone booking in repairs from now, you're probably not even going to get them back for Christmas. That's how busy we are, basically. So I'll put all these on Zach's desk. They can just wait. I need to cross that as bad, and I'll take him off. And I'll write these numbers down. I'll write all these numbers down on the wiki as well to see if we find any common numbers on VDPs that give common faults, just as a hint that you might have a bad VDP. But other than that, that's done. And yeah, we have no, unfortunately, no other 2 ASICs. I've ordered some more. I raided eBay the other day, so but by the time we get deliveries off eBay, we're almost definitely going to have the 1 ASICs in stock anyway. So either way, Game Gears now at the minute will be 2 weeks out. Prestiges will be, no matter what. So that's pretty much it, guys. That was that was the only two things I had planned. I've got a ton of stuff to do again, and I've got some software to do today, so I've got some catching up to do. I may be back on later, might do a 4 o'clock-ish stream is what I normally do. We'll see, especially on a Friday, because I've got time, you know, work weekends as well, so I feel like Fridays, I actually prefer working late on Fridays. Most people prefer finishing early. I like working late. Opening this up, I don't really want to. This is my personal one. I'll take the 4 screws off, we'll have a quick look, but I don't really want to open it up too far because, you know, I don't want to get dust in it or anything like that. But we can have a look at just the 4 screws off, see what's inside it. Oh yeah, the minis are crazy expensive as well. For testing the VDP, not so much, no. I've done a lot of reverse engineering on them, and it would be interesting to like diagnose the bad VDP. I mean, we could. I don't know how much more work I want to do at the minute before I have a little break. But I could scope it and try and find out when they fail. They always seem to fail in the same way. No, so it's got a custom chip. This will be a custom MCU, but nice and simple. I could change that to. Oh, we have a hidden button. Oh no, it's not hidden. They've actually put a hole in the plastic there. It's probably a reset button. But yeah, if this is hackable, I'd definitely hack this anyway. I'd like to put ROMs on and I'd use it more. Let's get that warmed up. I don't want it. You watch, I'll end up melting my case. There we go. So that is a custom, well, not custom, this will be an MCU almost definitely, just a microcontroller, microprocessor. And it's made by Allwinner Tech, never even heard of those. So if we Google this, I'm guessing we've got an MCU, and then it's just running some custom code. And then we have a baby, baby IPS screen. I said I wasn't going to open this up, but now looks like we're diagnosing a baby Game Gear. Look at that mini screen. I don't want to flip him up because I don't want all the buttons to go flying, although, to be honest, they already kind of have. Zoom out. There's a little baby D-pad. Chip underneath. That's the so that's the ROM. That'll be storing the ROM, so I can guarantee I could put this in an EEPROM reader, read off the ROMs, and potentially just load up more. I bet people have already done this. And then yeah, if you wanted to see a live stream of me modding this, I'm sure I could. I like that baby rubbers on the D-pad. They're wicked. Oh, baby D-pad rubbers. Yeah, right, let me try and put this together before I ruin my one and only Game Gear Mini. They do these in several colours. I ordered all of them because they went out of stock pretty much straight away. When they came out, they were really popular in Japan, and now they've the craze has settled down a bit. I can't get this power switch to go in. There we go. I might get the other colours again, because there's now plenty available, I think, on the market, but when these come out, they were like £120 each, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely going to look into if I can hack this thing and load up a full games library. That would be sick. Although I'm sure we're probably violating some kind of terms and conditions on the stream if I show you guys hacking a Game Gear Mini, so maybe we best not do that. I might do it off stream and show you the results, but yeah, that would be cool. It's like a perfect little pocket Game Gear console for like a plane flight or something. So literally put it in your pocket and get it out, and then you've got some games, but it definitely needs more games than it's got, I think. Needs a glass lens as well, because that's already got a little tarnish on there. You probably won't see that when it's on. Shall I make a baby glass screen for this? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so like I say, that's me for this morning. I'll crack on with some work now, and I might be back on later in the afternoon, basically. If not, you guys have a good weekend, and I'll probably... I don't know whether I'll be on this weekend with going away. I've probably got a lot to do, but you might see me at the weekend as well. If you buy new Game Gear, I think we've got the option on the website to... you can select... Let me have a look. Ready-made... Well, I'll just pull it up on screen, can't I? So this is the website. This is like advertising the live streaming now as well. Go to Ready-made here. So if you go to the homepage, will be this. You can go to Ready-made here. This is that Game Gear SG-1000 on offer at the minute. And if you go to Game Gears, you can select. So here's the motherboard. If you select original motherboard, you might get one a bit sooner because we might have one. This is the white PCB, re-PCB and game slot. And then you can have all the other options: clean juice, power core, clean amp, all the good stuff. And obviously the price varies with what you select, so it all depends on. If you select a normal, you get it a bit cheaper, $250. They all come with clean screen. We don't offer original screens, they're just too hard to get hold of. But yeah, that's them. There's a ROM catalogue full, yeah. So we do have the Mega Drive flash cards full, basically, as well. I think we have offers on the ROM libraries on the website, basically. If you're after making a new cart, Williams Defender, you'd have to get an EEPROM and program it onto a... You can actually get something from... I've got them. Where did I get them from? I want to say Crits. I know he isn't the best at offering support or sales and things, but I'm sure the guy that makes the EverDrives, I'm sure he does a Mega Drive programmable board. Let me just quickly see. So, Crit's website, obviously there's much better cartridges out now for much cheaper, but I'm sure I've probably got them somewhere lying around. I can give you some, I'm sure I have, these things here. So, you can get the flash kit for Mega Drive and you can flash any ROM onto this, and you have to use the programmer, which is probably in some other place, accessories maybe, this thing. So you need the flash kit programmer for Mega Drive, and then the cartridges. I've got this and cartridges. That's how I built the Sonic EXE ROM that you see. I don't know whether I want to sell it. It's quite cool just to write the odd ROM, but I don't really use it, so if you really wanted one, I'd probably sell it for cheap. Or I could write you the cartridge if you wanted. I can just write you that Williams Defender cartridge and send you just the cartridge. Yeah, right, that's it guys. Anyway, I am going to crack on with the day. So catch you guys shortly. Thanks all for joining in again.